Hey guys, we're back with another deck profile for Branded Despia. This one is probably the last one I'm going to make on this deck. Going forward, Branded doesn't really get any super significant support. The Syac cards, which is namely Quem and Sanctifier, is kind of it. There's really nothing with the word branded in it anyway, or Albaz to look forward to. So this is kind of where the deck is going to be as a pure variant for a while. I'll of course be looking forward to the Chimera cards with like the illusion stuff in the future, but that maybe March, maybe April, who knows. I was guessing February or March for that stuff, but then like the Diabell stuff all came out, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing, which has totally shook up the game. It's a very powerful deck. Everything's at 3, um, and it's going to be dominant and only get better as the year progresses. And I believe once the Rescue Ace cards, and then even more so with the Fire King cards, we're going to be entering a Tier 0 type format. The deck's not hard to play. There's plenty of card advantage, and all you have to do is if you go first, you just have to survive a turn, and you'll absolutely kill them on the crackback, kind of like how Branded does now. And if you go second, you just have to throw everything at the other person. They'll probably die because you're a link deck. Anyway, so let's go over the deck profile. One thing of note is that Branded opening like 2 days from now, as of recording this, I believe on the 7th or the 8th. This is going to 1 instead of 2. There is no swap for this. What you're going to do is you're just going to go like that, and there you go. That's the change. For the sake of this video, I'll leave the card out because I'd like this video to be relevant for more than 2 days. So this will be the list. Alright, going through the cards. We have 1 Despian Tragedy, 3 copies of Maxi, 2 Edge Imp Chain, 3 Fallen of Albaz, 2 Alibur, the Jester of Despia, 1 Tri-Brigade Mercurier, 1 Springen's Kit, 2 copies of Tearlament's Scheiren. If you do not have Scheiren, don't craft her. If you don't have Scheiren, my genuine recommendation is to just go like that. Pretty much. I have her here as like a for fun card, but she is very powerful. She's ultra rare for a reason. We'll quickly go. I'll go over her later, but yeah, Scheiren. 2 Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous, 2 Guiding Quem the Virtuous, 1 Bestial Saronir, 1 Albion the Shrouded Dragon, 1 Ad Libitum of Despia, 1 the Bestial Lubellion, 2 copies of Polymerization, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Gold Sarcophagus, 2 copies of Fright for Patchwork, 3 copies of Fusion Deployment, 1 Branded in White, 1 Branded Fusion, 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Branded Lost, 3 copies of Super Polymerization, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Branded Opening, 1 Branded in High Spirits, 1 Branded in Red, 1 Branded Sword, 1 Fusion Duplication, and 2 copies of Branded Retribution. In the extra deck, we have the 2 Super Poly targets, Mud Dragon of the Swamp and Garura Wings of Resonant Life, Predaplant Dragostapelia, Titaniclad the Ash Dragon, 2 copies of Albion the Branded Dragon, 1 copy of Despian Coertus, 2 copies of Mirjade the Ice Blade Dragon, 1 copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon, 1 copy of Grand Guinal the Dusk Dragon, 1 copy of Rinbrum the Striking Dragon, 1 copy of Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, 1 copy of Guardian Chimera, and 1 copy of Predaplant Verte Anaconda. So let's go over some changes. The most notable change is that I have added the Frightfur engine back into the deck with Edge Imp and Poly and Frightfur Patchwork. The reason for this is pretty simple. It is just really good in the deck in general, always has been. It kind of got cut for the sake of card count, so we could just concentrate more on the pure branded cards and not just things that supplement it like this. However, with the addition of Diabellstar, Flamberge, and all that stuff, you'll notice if I just look at the Snake Eye cards, all of this shit targets. Target. So having targeting protection is a really big deal. If you have Guardian Chimera on the field and Polymerization in your graveyard, and this has its Polymerization protection, Snake Eye cannot out this card unless they run something obscure or they make Access Code Talker or Goddess of the Underworld, which you can stop. Like Guardian Chimera is a very good card. A lot of people are unaware of this final sentence of card text where it reads, while Polymerization is in your graveyard, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. A lot of people forget or don't know or, you know, whatever. But that is such a relevant effect. And it will be going forward as well. Rescue Ace, if I look up their cards, right? Their shit targets too. Like if you control Rescue, target one and destroy it. I believe contain, yeah, target. You know, it all says the word target on it, right? They're very targeting heavy. So, oh, and Fire King too, I'm pretty sure. I'm admittedly way less familiar with the Fire King cards. But the TLDR is that these things target, and yeah. Also, it gives another target for fusion duplication, which I've had come up one singular time. Nothing extreme. Usually you're gonna fusion dupe your branded fusion or what have you. Alright, so and again, just to retouch on Scheiren, if you do not have her, cut the card. Nothing really replaces her. If you want, you can add in like another, I wouldn't, but you can add in another like Albion the Shrouded or Branded in High Spirits or what have you. Edge Imp Chain is pitchable by Branded in High Spirits. To quickly talk about this, what we pitch is Despian Quertus, which is a little unfortunate, but like sometimes you gotta to like de-brick your hand, because it tends to be a pretty good tempo swing to pitch Edge Imp Chain with Branded in High Spirits, because his this thing's graveyard effect will trigger. Regardless of how it touches the graveyard, it will trigger. So you can do like Branded in High Spirits, pitch Edge Imp Chain and Despian Quertus, and you'll add like Quem or whatever to your hand, or Cartesia if that's more beneficial to you, or you know, Albion the Shrouded, or you know, it's Branded in High Spirits, you know, whatever you need. And then Edge Imp Chain will trigger, you'll get Frightfur Patchwork, and you'll add the other Edge Imp Chain and Poly to your hand, and then you tend to kind of just go off from there. So that's the deck profile. Not a lot has changed. Most people who've played this deck are familiar with the Frightfur engine. It's not complicated. If you haven't seen this yet, the TLDR is, this is a free card advantage engine which gives you polymerization for effectively free, and then that allows Guardian Chimera to have its protection effect, which is very relevant because many things target. So we'll go into some replays. I tried to get decent ones. Most people tend to see the writing on the wall and will quit out of the game fairly quickly. So these are unfortunately the best ones I have. They're still good, but they're not as good as I'd like them to be. A lot of people pretty much recognize the fact that they've lost the game and will leave. So let's go into some replays, look at the deck in action. Alright, here's my first opponent, randomly encountered on ladder, of course. I'm going to try showing the decks just so, even for like posterity reasons. When I was playing against this player, I went first, and you'll see in the replay, I treated it as if it's Labyrinth, and then, you know, things happened. So, we'll get into that game. Okay, so here we are straight away. Take a look at my opening hand. Got Cartesia, Quem, Super Poly, Fight for Patchwork, and Branded in White. There's a lot this hand can do, and I'm going first. So I'm feeling very confident. Gonna always open with Fight for Patchwork, get my card advantage going. Quem first, see what happens. I'm going to pitch, and I'll explain why I'm doing this, or rather this line of play. So, Guiding Quem, pitch, Albion the Shrouded, who will become, as you can see with the yellow text here, gold text, whatever you want to call it, turns into Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard, which will turn on Cartesia's activation condition, at which point I will then summon and activate her, Edge Imp Chain, go away, Granguinal, send... Oh, and I also get Edge Imp's effect. Send Saronir, send Retribution, Albion still in the graveyard, send Branded Fusion, cool, Branded Fusion to hand. So, it is worth mentioning, they did their Chandelier effect in, like, towards the start of the turn, and set Welcome Labyrinth, or... I'm pretty sure it was Welcome Labyrinth. I'm going to scroll up and double check. Oh, I went too far. Yeah, Welcome Labyrinth. So, I'm basically just treating this like a Labyrinth matchup. Full stop. Alright, moving on. Branded Fusion. I'm doing the Albion line because I would like to get Branded Lost. I'm going to banish... not going to need this Edge Imp anymore, so I can freely banish him without a fear in the world. I'm very likely not... Because I have... the other cards that I have in my hand are just kind of better. So, I'm not anticipating... given the fact that I'm no longer receiving prompts, I'm feeling very confident that I'm just going to shut this guy down completely. With my hand and what I'm going to set up. So I'm not really worried about follow-up with Fight for Patchwork. I'm just going to go for it, kind of. Alright, so setting this up. So, a lot's about to happen. I'll explain it. So, alright, I'm going to let this resolve first before I talk about it. Alright. I'm going to pause here. Well, I'll let Albion resolve. Alright, now I have everything. So this is my board. So, as you saw there, I fused away Granguinal. A lot of people forget that Granguinal can be triggered in the graveyard. So, I gave myself an Albaz in my hand, which is something I could discard for Super Poly. I also have Branded in White in my hand for when I summon Albaz back, or if I do, I should say. And then I can pitch the Branded in White, which will then effectively give me back the card during their turn. Mirror Jade was used to pitch Titaniclad so I could and get Albaz to my hand to make this possible. This also makes Branded Retribution online with the graveyard. It is because it is a face-up fusion or 2 in the graveyard. Naturally, I would like the 2 in the graveyard to go back. Generally, that is the better option. Very rarely will you want to send back one that's on your board, unless you're going to make it again and you're kind of stuck with it, and it's like a used up Mirror Jade, doesn't have its effect anymore, and you want to send it back because you're about to make another one via summoning Albaz or what have you. But I have a live Mirror Jade because Quem summoned it back from the graveyard. So that's why I held on to Quem for basically that entire turn and didn't bring back like Cartesia or something. And I wanted Branded Retribution on the board because this can negate their Welcome Labyrinth over there. And of course I have Super Poly in hand, and I would like that to be, you know, set up as well so that I don't destroy my own card advantage. So straight away they're going to go for Welcome Labyrinth, and I'm going to negate it with Branded Retribution. And then they go for Branded Fusion. So here's my like whoa moment. But at the same time I'm really not scared because what can they make into this board? I have Dragostapelia, Mirror Jade. Anyway, so they make Albion the Branded Dragon. They're going to activate its effect. I'm going to trigger Quem now and bring back my Cartesia. And then I'm going to negate this. And then in the very next chain, I'm going to activate Cartesia, and I would like to make Sanctifier here. I'm going to grab Albion the Shrouded just for a card advantage, really. A draw for next turn, assuming this even goes the distance. So I made a minor blunder here. I don't think it says it. Yeah, it doesn't. So the reason why I've done this is because they declared that they want to go to battle. What I should have done is I should have just taken a pause, turned the toggle to on, and let them enter battle, attempt to fight, because what they're going to do is they're trying to ram Quem. And I'm in such a dominant position, I'm like, nah, I'm just not even going to let you do that. But I really should have let them enter battle, so that their battle phase is wasted. So I banish Albion, and then I get, this is the punish. They have a copy of Kurikara, and now I'm facing down this like 6,000 beater, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll just bring my Mirror Jade back. You can have Saronir, because I'll get rid of this at some point, and I'll get the card advantage off of it. Get rid of Kurikara, and I mean, like, by this point, they recognize the fact they've lost the game and scoop and move on. Alright. Alright, here's the opponent for the second replay. I really have nothing to say here. It's Sword Soul. This is, I'm not too familiar with Sword Soul, but this looks like a pretty by-the-books version of Sword Soul to me. Red Reboot randomly in here, but like, who cares, right? It's still Sword Soul. It's, you know, it's Sword Soul. They have a fully loaded extra deck, and so on. So this just looks like very standard, rudimentary Sword Soul. Okay. So, I'm going second in this game, and they're just going to do their setup. There's nothing really to say here. I opened Bestial Saronir, which is going to come up. So, I'm going to trigger Saronir here and get rid of this Ashuna, which Ashuna's effect is irrelevant. The thing I mainly want is to get Bestial Saronir on the board. The reason why I'm doing this is because I've hard drawn polymerization, which means I can where are you? Oh yeah, you're at the top because you're level 9. I can make Guardian Chimera, and it immediately has its protection effect, which will defend it from Chi Zhao. And if they don't if they negate it, Saronir will go to the graveyard, at which point its effect will trigger. I don't know what these back row are, but, you know, we're just going to cross that bridge when we get there. But I am trying to set up the ability to use polymerization straight away and go for targeting protected Guardian Chimera. They let it resolve. They don't Baron it, of course. This is not worth Baroning, because you only get one negation with her. So I normal summon Cartesia, and then I use polymerization, and I do expect them to negate me here with Baron de Fleur, but they don't. Incorrectly, in my opinion. So Guardian Chimera is going to trigger. So the chain sequencing here is very deliberate. Chainlink 1, Chimera, Chainlink 2, Saronir. This makes Baron's negate pretty bad. Full stop. And this also defends me from Chi-Zhao. Now they're going to activate Chi-Zhao, and they're going to try. I assume they're trying to negate Guardian Chimera, but I do have Cartesia on my board, and I would like to bait this Baron de Fleur a bit. So I'm actually just so they have to target Cartesia because Cartesia is the only available option. So I'm going to Cartesia in response, but and I was going to make Grand Guignol, right? But they unfortunately have the Imperm backup. You know, it is what it is. But I'm tired of this Baron, so I'm just going to pop it with Guardian Chimera, draw 2. They droll me, don't care. Pitch Cartesia, or Quem to get Quem with opening. Quem's going to pitch... I can't look. Saronir already triggered. I sent Retribution. Quem's going to send Branded Fusion, and then I'm just going to full combo them in the face, and I have like a Guardian 3300 Guardian Chimera that can't be targeted. So they're just super dead. All right, here's the third and final replay. This is Makonko. There's really nothing to say here. The extra deck's at 11, but that's not relevant. They have everything they need here. They got the Entis. They have Herald of Arclight. They have every target they need for all of their plays, right? Like, Makonko doesn't need their extra deck. In my opinion, they should just shove like 4 whatever cards in here because they're running Pot of Prosperity, just so that they have like more garbage to banish without having to care about it. But like, other than that, like, this is just Makonko. I'm not too familiar with Makonko, but they have 3 Ohime and like a bunch of the other ones, and like 2 Lava Golem. I don't know how good these guys are in this deck, but like, I know Makonko wants the Kaiju, preferably with Lava Golem, and then they like swing into it like 3 times. Or if they do like Axe of Fools, it's twice. Anyway, let's get into the game. Alright, so this game, you can see they have the same icon I do, so their account is at least a year old, I believe, is how old this icon is. I'm not really getting prompts here, so I'm just going to go straight for Branded Fusion. A little greedy, but I have, you know, Quem and such, too. I'm just going to go... So, bits happening here. Bits happening here. I'm going to get Ad Libitum. So, this is kind of like a old-style play. I'm going to grab Ad Libitum off of the Despian Tragedy. And this is, I'm going to actually, because I've already done Branded Fusion, I haven't activated Retribution's Graveyard effect this turn. I'm going to pitch this copy of Branded Opening with Albion the Shrouded. What I draw here doesn't super matter, but the fact it's poly is pretty good. Not going to need it, but still pretty good. Then I'm going to grab Opening. Then I'm actually going to activate Opening, pitch Quem to get Quem. Quem effect, get Cartesia. Going to banish this Alibur. grab Cartesia, and then I'm going to use Cartesia's effect to fuse Mirror Jade and Ad Libitum for Predaplant Dragus Depelia, resetting the Mirror Jade, whose so his effect is refreshed, set Super Poly, and set Branded in red. So this is a terrifying board. This is horrifying to try and play through. You can trigger Mirror Jade like 3 times, and I've set super blind. They don't know it's here, but I've blind set Super Poly, and I have Branded in red with Ad Libitum in the graveyard. And I also have the ability to discard this polymerization with Super Polymerization, which will then give Guardian Chimera its targeting protection if that's relevant. Still, this board can do a lot. It's horrifying. I can't think of a deck that beats this board reliably at all. So they're going to Axe of Fools my Predaplant Dragus Depelia to stop its negation effect and give it a bunch of attack. At this point, I'm suspicious it's Makonko. I will say on the coin flip, I chose to go first. It wasn't like one of those situations where they make you go first and you're clued into the fact that it's a blind second deck. So I'm like, okay, Axe of Fools, that looks like Makonko, but we'll see what happens, right? And then they Diviner the Herald. I'm going to Mirror Jade it now because I don't want its effect to even triggering like gain levels or whatever that it might be doing. The main reason I'm doing it so aggressively is because I want to reset this Mirror Jade as quickly as possible. They're going to fire off Entis on the unknown face down, and I'm letting that go. I don't care enough. I'm like, okay, yeah, you got it. Gonna make Granguinal. So a lot's gonna happen in sequence. Granguinal is going to pitch something. Well, obviously resolves backwards. Branded loss. I'm getting Tri-Brigade Mercurier. Now I'm gonna have a Monster Gate. Quem's getting me Mirror Jade back, so I have another Banish. And then Granguinal is gonna set me up for the next turn. Slight mistake, should not have summoned this in attack mode, but won't matter. I'm too far ahead to care. I send Saronir and they Ash Blossom it. I assume that's done out of frustration. There's really no reason. I mean, I would have held it for Albion and end phase, but I'll be honest, they gotta kill me here. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They have to kill me this turn. There's no surviving Branded on turn 3. So they pop up Prosperity, and I see like all the Makonko cards. And I'm like, okay, so it's Makonko. And I'm like, okay, well, get negated. Cool. And then they just give up. But there was so much more I could do here. Mirror Jade is live. Branded in red with Ad Libitum in my graveyard. So what I was going to do if they had continued playing, even though they couldn't anymore, but if they had continued playing, I would have done Mirror Jade's Banish first. Then I would have Branded in red, Ad Libitum to my hand, and then fuse away probably like Quem and Mirror Jade, because Quem's already done her job this turn. And then like Guardian Chimera, pop 2 things, draw 1, reset Mirror Jade again. And then Mirror Jade is live again. And also I would have popped Axe of Fools. And then now my Predaplant Dragus Depelia is live. And then all the while I'm not that it would have mattered for this duel because Makonko's monsters are all like 0 attack, but I have Coertus off of Granguinal. So this is... I don't know what deck could beat that board. I'll be honest. You would need like Harpy's Feather Duster, like 2 Raigekis, because Branded Opening is in the graveyard, so it's going to protect from everything getting blown up, right? It's like 3 banishes, a negate, 1 or 2 pops, probably 2. Um, the interaction is super layered, so like you can't even just like get rid of it. As well as on top of it all, um, super poly, which had to be dealt with, so you would have needed like some way to get rid of that, as well as being able to make Grand Guignol, and then Grand Guignol giving me follow up, which had to be negated, and it's just incredible. Um, this is probably one of I would say this is one of the best boards the deck can produce. Very rarely are you set up in a position in which you can Mirror Jade 3 times. This board was terrifying. Very few words can describe how scary this board is. Um, so yeah, good stuff. And yeah, like I said, my opponent, I know they had an 11 card extra deck, which is probably just like a personal choice on their part because there's no reason for it. They have like all the cards they need in their accounts, like super old, as you can tell. They have the Alibur token icon. I think you can still get the Halloween border. I'm not sure, but like, yeah, very established player, not a new player at all. All right. All right, so here's the deck again, and I'm a little sad that I didn't get to show off Scheiren. I did have some games in which I did activate Scheiren, and Scheiren was relevant. Um, but what usually happens is they see Scheiren and like a branded card or something, and they're like, "Nah, I'm good," and leave. Scheiren, the best thing she can do is that she can pitch Saronir, Edge Imp Chain, and Albion the Shrouded. Those are the best targets, of course. Or just Fallen of Albaz himself, right? And overall, just a really good card. If she touches the graveyard for any reason, her fusion effect will trigger. Oftentimes, she'll make like a Dragostapelia or Mud Dragon of the Swamp or something of that nature, right? The scariest way to use Scheiren is actually on your turn 3 follow-up with Branded Fusion. Because at that point, your graveyard's loaded, and if you send like Albaz and Scheiren for Lubellion, because Lubellion's any dark monster, oh my god. It's so much. It's so much. You just get so many cards on the board, and it's horrifying. It really is. But yeah, overall, like super fun deck. Um, Unfortunately, kind of it for Branded. In the future, I'm sure I'll make like tweaks to the deck and stuff, but none that would, uh, make me want to make another video on the deck. Something drastic would need to occur. Like, I would need to see like Verte banned, which it's not because it's in the pack, so Verte's not getting banned. Or like maybe Red Eyes Dark Dragoon unbanned, or like something to make me want to play the deck again. But as it stands, I think this is like at least one of the best versions of Branded you could be playing. I think grass versions of the deck aren't that good for ladder. You see them a lot in tournaments, and the really big toolbox is like really good in tournaments because you know what the opponent's going to be playing. However, in best of one, you're often blind, and sometimes I honestly just want to draw like Maxi or Super Poly or like, my really good cards. Because obviously, like all the cards in here are good, but some are better than others. Something I was considering was just adding a single copy of like Evenly Matched because it's so good against like Snake Eyes and stuff. and you can thrust into this card. But I haven't done that yet. I've considered a second copy of Branded in Red. Haven't done that yet either. But those are all just like tinkering things. I'm not like, you know, doing anything crazy or, you know, groundbreaking. The deck does feel, I think the word finished is appropriate, unless we get some really, really, really good support out of nowhere, which we know the OCG for the next like year. Branded hasn't seen any other direct support, or in my opinion indirect support. Chimera is the closest we get, and that's really just you're playing Chimera and you place a couple of the branded cards, or at least the best ones, the very best ones I should say, like Branded Fusion and, like, you know, Random Brum to activate all your cards for free. But other than that, the deck feels, I will say, for a deck that I can see the number 1 and 2 on it a lot, this is a really good deck. You can easily, I know it's like redundant to say for most people, but like this deck can get Master 1, no problem. Even the budget patchwork version I posted can probably get to Master 1. You'll want to upgrade and make the deck better and more consistent, of course, but even that deck can get to Master 1. It's just a matter of how much you play the game. But this deck, even more so. Like, I've been playing this. Well, I had the second, you know, Branded opening in for a while. But even missing one more copy of Branded opening, like, that's not going to change the deck. It's not. However, I do expect Branded to become less and less meta relevant, or at least played, in the future. Like, once Rescue Ace comes, the 2 missing cards, I should say, one of which far more relevant than the other one. Once those are out, and we already have like Poplar and stuff for Snake Eye, like it's over, right? Like that's your tier 0 deck, hyper consistent, sets a bunch of back row, layered interaction, requires, you know, just so much to deal with, and it's, boy, is it a pain. So yeah, that's where the deck is going to stay. If you feel like fiddling with ratios, you can try like another Fight for Patchwork, another, you know, Edge Imp, and like Poly. Like, you can mess with these ratios. I like 2-2-2 the most, but like you can mess with it. Like 3-2-2 or 3-3-2 or 3-3-3. But I think at that point you're like diluting away from Branded a bit too much. You can experiment with adding like more Branded and High Spirits and like more Albion the Shrouded. And, you know, obviously I would cut Scheiren at that point. And things of this nature, like tweaking ratios, maybe plucking a card here or there, and, you know, things like that. But even this I wouldn't do, because Branded High Spirits is at its best when you're actually playing like a bunch of the Bestials and stuff. And like adding evenly as well. But overall, like I said, the deck feels done. There's kind of nowhere left for Branded to go. There's no upcoming support that changes the deck very much. The one exception is like Magnum the Reliever or whatever his name is, but I don't even think that card makes the cut. So not looking great. That the only like card we might run is like super meh. Overall though, I'm happy with where Branded is. And this deck, I think, if we look at like the OCG, I won't bring up the chart, but it's like perpetually like tier 2, tier 3. So like if you build this deck, you have a good deck. Like this deck is great, and it'll be great for the next year, if not beyond. Branded, kind of closing thoughts about the deck. Branded Pure. Branded's like one of the longest standing decks in Master Duel's history. Nothing really competes with Branded in terms of its meta relevancy and duration. Literally ever since Branded Fusion was released, this deck has been between tier 1 and tier 3. It has never left tier 1 to tier 3 status once Branded Fusion was in the game, which is why I kept getting hit repeatedly over and over and over and over and over, right? But overall, I enjoy the deck a lot. I'll continue playing it. And other than that, kind of happy with what it is. Looking forward to Chimera and playing Branded in a different way. Because I think the real highlight of Branded is that not only is it good as a pure, the variants and upcoming variants will also all be really good. So looking forward to that. Alright, like, subscribe, get the fuck out of here.